Everyone has their childhood favorite films that they grew up on. To me, it's easily the films from Pixar. When I was a kid, I used to always watch these films all the time. And one of the films I would watch all the time in my youth was 2001's Monsters Inc. Pixar's jump to the 2000s, the film to continue Pixar's legendary streak, and the directorial debut of the legendary film director and future Pixar CEO, Pete Docter. I remember always watching this monster film when I was very young, especially on DVD. However, I remember the Disc 1 DVD menu more than the film. I was creeped out by how it was set up with its dark background and only a door and some very unsettling music. In fact, I was so disturbed that I would stay out the floor when it would appear. Sounds weird, I know, but enough about that. Let's head to that closet door to enter the monster world. Set in an alternate world of monsters, we center on two best buds named James P. Sullivan and Mike Wazowski, who are the top employees at their job, Monsters Inc., a company that specializes in going into the human world to scare children to collect their screens for their power. However, their job is considered dangerous as children are believed to be toxic, and there's been a scream shortage due to children's experience in violence. Suddenly, a little girl enters the monster world and ends up causing chaos in the town of Monstropolis. Mike and Sully end up calling the girl Boo, and now they must find a way to get her back home while also uncovering a dark secret that could change Monsters Inc. forever. As to be expected from Pixar, Monsters Inc. is a charming, cleverly written, imaginative, funny, and heartwarming family film that almost anyone can enjoy. Even removing my nostalgia glasses, this is still a great film. As for the story itself, it may seem simple with bringing this child back to a world story that's been told in many films before, but it's the execution that helps make it enjoyable. As the film goes on, it features many twists that add tension, as well as some surprising heavy commentary on corporate corruption and systematic abuse. Especially our villains that I'll talk about later. The commentary helps fuel the message on making positive change, like how the monsters will find a new source of power in the form of laughter. One of the best elements of this film is the world it's set in. The film takes the concept of monsters hiding in a kid's room to scare them and turns it into a business where these monsters scare for power for their world. It's quite imaginative. Turn what's basically a terrifying concept into something that any adult can relate to, and how Monsters Inc. functions is rather creative, from how they use the closet doors to how kids are seen as toxic, as they're like the plague. You can always count on Pixar to bring us to new worlds. This is also a very funny movie. I laughed quite a lot in this film, rather be the way banter between Mike and Sully, the slapstick, etc. But the real highlight of the film is the relationship between the characters. Like with Mike and Sully, these two have a believable friendship. Sure, they may bicker at times, but at the end of the day, they got each other's back. And then there's the relationship between Sully and Boo. At first, the two are terrified at the little girl, even though she's just a kid that means no harm. But as the movie progresses, slowly starts to grow attached to the little girl, to the point of being full-on father figure to her. There are so many moments with the two that are either cute, sad, heartwarming, etc. But while our leads are likable, the most memorable characters have to be our main villains. First, we have Randall, Mike and Sully's biggest rival, who is fueled by jealousy and will do anything to outdo them, even if it means killing them. As the movie goes on, he becomes nastier and nastier to the point of becoming a huge threat. Topped out with a strong performance by the great Steve Buscemi, he's a type of villain you just love to hate. And then there's Henry J. Warnoose, easily one of the best twist villains, period, because the film foreshadows his motivations very well early on, and teases us with Randall being the big bad. So when the twist is revealed, it's not a whiplash because it's believable that we go these lengths in order to save his company, which makes him quite a tragic villain, and as well as a very realistic foe because people like Warnoose actually exist. The animation looking back is admittedly a bit dated, but back then it was actually considered state of the art. One of the most impressive visuals was with Sully's hair to make it look real, which may have been mind-blowing for people back then in 2001. You can always count Pixar to innovate the field of CGI. And there are some visual aspects that still hold up, like the many creative, unique designs of the monsters and how they function. Plus, the climax with the doors is a really amazing climax that still holds up even to this day. To conclude, Monsters Inc. is still as great as all those years ago, being really creative, funny, heartwarming, etc. This gets a 9 out of 10. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you all next time.